if something goes wrong with it, like if you weren't someone who was tech savvy like myself or didn't have a spare computer to plug it into to update the firmware, then you're shit out of luck. Hey everybody, and welcome back for the Vive Cosmos launch day. As always, I am Matteo311. This is going to be a bit of a rant video. It is a first impressions. There's not going to be a lot of editing. There's not going to be me going in depth into a lot of things. This is purely first impressions on the Vive Cosmos. I did this for the Valve Index and it was actually really well received. I think people just want to know, like, get that immediate impression, and then I will probably eventually do a big breakdown. I like to do videos where I take all the headsets and compare them together, which we'll see what happens for this one, because unfortunately, unlike Valve Index Day, Vive Cosmos Day is not going well. My first impression is this product is terrible. Now, I know this is the opposite of the honeymoon time period where you get a new product and you're like, it's amazing. You get a new product and you're like, holy crap, this is terrible. And then over time you go, okay, that was my issue. This isn't as bad as I thought, and whatever. And my initial gut of this is freaking terrible is calming down because I found some ways around some issues, but it's frustrating. I had a lengthy setup issue problem, but what I really want to go into, what I just want to start, is to go over the biggest grievances first. Get those out of the way. Actually, you know what? I will tell you all the good things about it right off the bat. The screen is great. The resolution looks really, really good. Dare I say, marginally better than the Valve Index. Maybe even more than marginal. The only problem is being accustomed to running at 120 Hertz with a larger FOV, it does not feel like an upgrade. It also, the IPD doesn't go as low as the Valve Index, so it's not 100% as in focus for me, but it felt pretty good. Then also the lens. The lens is a huge improvement. You know, I tried to just do black screen, white text loading screens to see that glare. God rays, minimal. Nice work on that. And that's where it ends for me. Okay, major grievances. The first one is compatibility. So, in my Viveport menu, I'm coming across game after game that says, sorry, this game is not compatible with the Vive Cosmos, check back later. I'm sure they'll fix this, but on launch day, this is just effing unacceptable. Arizona Sunshine told me that. Mason Grace told me that. I wanted to watch a 360 video called Trinity. Told me that. At least 5 titles I came across. Now, one title that I wanted to launch and test for tracking, which was Pavlov. Pause. Some people are saying, oh, out of the box doesn't work with Steam VR, or someone was trying to call me out on YouTube for that. That's total BS. It works with Steam VR. Viveport has always required Steam VR running just for the games to work. So it does work with your Steam VR games with some caveats, which I'm getting into. So, Pavlov. I launched the game and it won't track my hands. And I'm really frustrated. And I can't seem to find any way to get the Steam menu up. I am being ham-fisted a Viveport menu. A cardinal sin, something I said in one of my videos, the reasons why the Vive Cosmos can fail. It's probably hitting most of them. So one of them was forcing Viveport on you, and the default key will bring up a Viveport lens, which is a severely inferior menu to Steam VR. So if you're accustomed to Steam VR, you'll see this, you have a ton less options. However, I did find out that if you launch a Steam VR game and then double click the left controller, you can get that Steam menu back, which helps because now you have the option to go into controller settings, which may fix some of your problems. Luckily, someone out there already has made a Vive Cosmos binding for Pavlov, which fixed Pavlov for me. However, the settings weren't the same as my Valve Index controller, which was really frustrating trying to play, but it allowed me to play. Tracking wasn't as bad as I thought it would be because my experience with Beat Saber was tracking was piss poor. Pavlov was okay, because when I first put on the HMD, when I first put on the Cosmos, I scratched my chin and it lost my controller. And I went, oh no. That was within 30 seconds of putting on the controller, you know, this itchy beard right here. I scratched it and the controller kind of just popped up like right in front of my face and stood there. And I went, oh, this is bad. I did put on Longbow, the Labs Longbow game, to test how that was. Now, it wasn't horrible, but I almost died on the first wave, the first 8 guys, which is just a joke. Pulling it back felt weird. And also, one thing I noticed was, for whatever reason, when you let go of the trigger, I feel like it doesn't release instantly. Now, I didn't really see this in other games, but again, I didn't play any other bow games. But letting go of the trigger, I don't know what it is. There's like this momentary delay, a few milliseconds. It was really throwing off my shots. The tracking was not terrible, but noticeably worse. But really, that release was terrible. And this is where I noticed the haptics on the controller are just really annoying. It's trying to give you this bowstring simulation, like it's going, but it's such a loud, clunky vibration that doesn't feel good. It does not feel like anything you're used to, even with the wands, the original Vive wands, or, you know, I'm used to the index controllers. It doesn't feel anything like that, not nearly as cool. The haptics kind of suck. So guys, I mentioned that compatibility, that's the #1 issue. All these games in my Viveport list are not working. It's crazy. And then I've seen people launch Arizona Sunshine, but my Viveport version won't launch. Cool. So that is just, that's unacceptable. I'm sorry, there's no way it could have launched in that state. I told you I had some major issues, which really set the tone for this, installing it. What happened was, my machine just would not detect it until I plugged it into another machine, updated the firmware, then went back to the first machine. Now I understand the original OG Vive and even my Vive Pro, I had some USB issues. This is the machine right here that I wanted to use it with. That was my old machine. It's running a 1080 Ti and a 6700K. So I said that'll be fine for 90 hertz. And that's what I wanted to run it. And that's my main boy running my Valve Index. So that's what I wanted to use it on, and it wouldn't work. So I pulled out my even older machine, which has a 980 in it, and just plugged it in just to get it running. I got it up and running. Oddly, when I went to do the the room setup, I was getting no visuals on the camera. But I said, you know what, firmware has been updated, let me go back to the first machine, and sure enough, it now connected on the original machine. But this was like an hour of jerking around. Frustrating as hell. So just know those USB compatibility issues that you might have seen with the OG Vive or the Vive Pro exist. Even the Index kind of had them a little bit at launch, and they fixed them with firmware. So that's forgivable, but it was really, I mean, the Index you could just unplug and plug back in USB ports and resolve the issue. This just, no, sorry, you don't have a headset plugged in. Go F off. So that's really frustrating. Another thing I noticed is a lot of the issues that the Vive Pro had are carried into this product. And let me show you this right now. This cord, yep, I'm filming it, is horrendous. Look, it's already crinked. And it was all tied up and bunched up and stuck within like a minute. It was already snagging, and it is just a terrible cable. It's the exact same one from the Vive Pro. It's the same link box, and they should have fixed that. The cable's unacceptable. And I use, cabled, I use a Valve Index constantly. My Index is right here. I didn't put it away neatly, but that cable is amazing. That cable stays the way it should all the time. And I have to say, the fact that it still has this shit cable is terrible. Excuse my vulgarity. Now, as far as comfort goes, a lot of people, this is my first experience with a Halo strap. I don't have a PlayStation VR. I don't have a Rift S. So I haven't used the Halo strap before. I have used I got rid of my Vive Pro, but I have owned 5 VR headsets, and I wouldn't say this is uncomfortable, but I'm not the biggest fan of the Halo. I guess it's okay. The HMD does feel really light. That's one thing I noticed when I took it out of the box, that I said, oh wow, this does feel light. It's not crazy light, but it does feel light. The other thing I noticed though, for a $700 product, when you unbox a Valve Index, yes, that's a $1,000 product, but when you unbox that, it's like, look at me, I'm a high-end product. It's amazing. You unwrap this thing, it's wrapped in bubble wrap around the headphones. There's still a ton of just straight foam. Like the face pad is just regular foam, the same one that the Vive Pro had, which is just gonna soak up all your sweat. And at this level in the game, it's subpar. Speaking of subpar tracking, I mean, okay. So I turned on Beat Saber and I went to play a game a level that I beat on Expert a couple times. I failed. But I said, okay, I'm rusty. You know, I'm totally rusty. I don't remember. I haven't played Beat Saber in a while. Let me go on hard. I failed. I said, all right, let me crank it down to easy. And at a slow speed, it was fine. It seemed to be tracking okay. So then I did easy, but I sped up the song. And then I went to normal with a sped up song. And I noticed when I was down, swiping the ones really low, those are the ones that were actually being missed. But it didn't look like they were missed when I would go slow. But when the song's getting rapid, I was missing low ones frequently. And it seemed every once in a while, like, you know, out here, I would miss some. Now, when I do a full review, I'm gonna do mixed reality if the thing doesn't explode when I try to do mixed reality. So I could actually see, you know, third person view and actually see what's tracking, how, you know, when it deviates from my hand. I think it'll be a great way to see when it really messes up. If mixed reality will work. I don't know if it works with this headset. We'll have to find out. Now, guys, why I'm putting out today rushed ranting video is because I am going to Disney. So I'm going to be away. So I really don't have time to do the initial full review until a week plus from now. So apologies for that. I really wanted to do it, but I like comparing all the headsets. So compatibility, tracking, no good. I'll give you another example of how the tracking was good. I was testing out Pavlov, and all of a sudden my tracking went crazy and I got nauseous because my head tracking went off. So I flipped up the lid to see, you know, to just get out of VR, and I noticed my kid came down in the room and switched off the light. And the turning off the light, now it wasn't dark in here, like it wasn't black, but it was darker, and I'll show you. She turned off this light. Yeah, I think that's the light she turned off. Now, it's definitely dark, but I play my index with the lights off, but again, that's base station tracking. So she turned off that light, and I was like instant nausea, which lasted for a couple minutes. I was not happy about that. Now, I thought, you know, obviously the headset messed up, but the tracking just went crazy because someone flicked the light off. I'm not getting the issue where people are saying it keeps telling you, you know, the room needs to be brighter. I have not seen that issue, not once. It has not popped up once. I did have issues where my controllers lost sync twice, but after the second time, I played for about an hour and a half, and there was no sync loss after that. So I guess that's good. Let's see what else. Now, a lot of people say, oh, it's much cooler. The Vive Pro was horrendously hot for me. I know all those things, comfort, subjective, yes. This is definitely cooler, but not anything special. Like, I believe there's a fan inside it because I heard a whine at one point. I heard what sounds like, you know, almost a coil whine, but it could have been a fan, obviously. I believe this thing has a fan in it. And guys, I apologize if I make any technical mistakes. This is, you know, first impressions video. But there was some type of whine sound coming from it, just enough to be slightly annoying. But I didn't find this thing to be that cool. Seriously, I'd say it's on par with my index. The foam traps heat into your face, so that's probably a contributing factor. God, I don't know why they still use that foam. Now, out of the box, you're not getting anything special. You're spending $700 for what? Really? Everything is an extra accessory. I'm also really upset that I want to test my wireless adapter. Well, I can't, because that I will need another $50 add-on with a different battery pack just to be able to use with a different head strap. For mind you, I spent $300 on the wireless adapter, then I had to get a $40 or $60, which was basically just a piece of Velcro and foam to strap it onto the Vive Pro, because I used to have one of those. And now I have to buy a $50 one if I want to use it for this lovely piece of hardware. Let's see. Like I said, guys, that biggest issue is really compatibility, and the fact that the Steam menu is hidden. You know, if I didn't find the Steam menu, I would have been much more aggressive in this video. I would have been much more frustrated. But even with the Steam menu, even while adjusting controller bindings, I'm still having trouble getting some games to work. I really am. I'm having trouble getting some games to track my controllers, or like Serious Sam. I want to play Serious Sam because it's fast paced and you just get the, you know, get some action, and I like the graphics in it and whatever. I cannot get the controllers to work. I just can't. I'm sure if I went in there and drilled into the settings and messed around for a while, sure. Or someone will make a binding that works eventually. But they won't. And okay, the Index had its compatibility issues. Excuse me, its controller compatibility issues at launch, but they were nothing compared to this. So guys, I mean, that's my first impressions rant. That's me going through basically the good things, the two of them, and the bad things, which is almost everything. I'm gonna pause for a minute and just see if there's anything else I want to comment on. I guess in closing, I mean, the last thing I could really complain about is the fact that there's not really any major improvements. These headphones are basically the exact same as the deluxe audio strap, and you put them on, and again, I get this, like, I call it, like, you know, helmet syndrome. The foam, this on your ear, it's just too much on your head, and it traps heat in, and it frustrates me. How doofy do I look with this thing like this? I do like the flip up option, but only because, you know, I had so many issues and I had to keep flipping it up to go look at my computer, so yeah. I mean, in closing, this is just not a step up. Either everything is the same as the Vive Pro, except worse. No, I'm sorry. It's really not a step up. It's hard for me to recommend it. I will go into a further breakdown in the weeks to come. But as of right now, guys, I really don't recommend it. I'm really frustrated with it. And just to give you just like one other annoyance, you know, when I first launched it, you have your Steam VR tutorial screen pop up, and it came up blasting at max volume, like ear bleeding loud. And there is a setting in there that says don't allow volume too loud to protect your hearing. That setting was enabled, and the thing still blew out my eardrums. So that was my initial in-game experience. That, and they ham-fisted the Viveport tutorial on you with no seeming way to exit. I pressed every key on the controller, eventually just flipped up my helmet, went back to my keyboard, Alt F4, you know, or blow out the game. I killed Steam VR. I mean, it's not a nice user-friendly experience, and man, am I disappointed. This is the exact opposite of Valve Index Day. Yep, absolutely, guys. It's tough. It really is. I don't know. Now, if it would have came out with some of the things that are coming as accessories, maybe. But it was supposed to be the first hybrid VR HMD. It's not. The Oculus Link will be out next month. So the Oculus Quest will be the first hybrid HMD. It has inferior camera-based tracking. It's not the first with inside-out tracking. It is not priced appropriately or competitively. It does not feel like a high-end product. And if you've experienced, support with HTC before, it's horrendous. So if something goes wrong with it, like if you weren't someone who was tech savvy like myself, or didn't have a spare computer to plug it into to update the firmware, then you're shit out of luck. I had a good day. It's also been a great work week. Okay, everybody, I'm going on vacation, so that should cheer me up. I hope you enjoyed the view. Go ahead, you HTC people, give me 5 million thumbs down, and the Oculus people, give me all those thumbs up. Write those comments. I told ya, Oculus and Facebook is the best. All right, you can see I'm losing my mind. Thanks for watching the video if you made it this far. If you like the content, consider subscribing. And I'll put out some more streamlined, where I don't look like an animal content. All right, thanks guys. I'll see you on next time.